there, hero. I'm David H. Lawrence, the 17th, and I'm in the midst of a series of videos where we're taking a really deep dive into one of my favorite TED Talks. 2013, Julian Treasure, vocal coach, vocal consultant. I'm not quite sure what he does, but I want to meet him. I want to get to know him better because he's awesome. Gave a speech at TED Global in 2013 called How to Speak So People Will Listen to You. And the first video we did on this was sort of introducing you to the video. I give you a link to it in the show notes of this and all the videos that I'm going to be doing on this particular TED Talk. I urge you to go watch it. What we're talking about are the things that he begins the talk with in terms of what we can do less of. You know, as we look at the model for success, the definition of success, do more of what works, less of what doesn't. He's giving you the stuff not to do up front, and we talked about a few things in the first video. This video, I want to talk about the rest of those, what he calls the seven sins of conversation. Now, he's doing this video to help civilians, right? He's doing this video to help the public at large. I want to take a look at what he's talking about and see how they all apply to us as professional performers and in particular voice talent. The rest of them, the rest of the seven sins, the first one is complaining. And we see this all the time. We see this mostly with performers who have given up. You know, they're reduced to the idea that they're never going to get ahead and they're going to complain about it rather than look at what I think they should look at, which is their tools, their attitude, their approaches. They're just going to complain. The business is built against them. The business is not built against you. The business is built to help people who make money in the business continue to make money. And so it's organized for their success, not your success. It's not organized to make it easier for performers. In fact, if anything, it's organized to make it more difficult. But what that can lead to is this idea of complaining. And if when you're speaking with someone, you're instantly laying blame and complaining about things that either you don't have control over or really aren't a problem. And what I mean by that are things like, my agent never gets me out. Really? Your agent never gets you out? Ever? Like you've never? Why are you with them then? You should leave. Or you should rethink, reframe how you look at what your agent does for a living. So the idea of complaining is something that we could all do less of. Excuses. This ties very much into my Believe series, the series that we did a couple years ago and that's available on the VO Heroes site. On limiting beliefs. Excuses are the things that we go to. Oh, I'm too old for this. Yeah, I can't do that. The whole business has passed me by. I don't know the technology. That microphone never works right. It never, the excuses that we make just waste time. Because seriously, I've looked at it. Most of the time, the excuses that we make aren't really the reason behind our challenge. The reasons are often much more basic and much more easy to approach, but not necessarily easy to solve. It's much easier to just make an excuse. And again, as you're having a conversation with somebody or as you're talking to a peer or a casting person, making excuses about why you didn't get a gig or why, you can't find an agent or why, casting hates you. Those don't move things forward at all. So again, one more thing that we can do less of. This one is obvious, but sometimes, we have to be reminded. And this is the second last of his seven deadly sins, of Julian's seven deadly sins, and it's lying or exaggeration. If you make changes on your resume that aren't really there, that you didn't really participate in, if you put a credit down on your resume that you really didn't, just because your resume is so sparse and you want to kind of spruce it up and who will ever check? Well, it's a really small business. Even though it's a huge business, it's a really small business. Excuses, lying about your abilities can get you in real trouble. Well, of course I can do that accent or dialect. Can't? Yeah, sure. Don't lie. Don't exaggerate. Don't say you can do something when you can't. And try your best to just live with the reality of the situation. Again, I'm not trying to use any of these things to preach to you. I'm just saying that if we do these things within our business, it's going to make it a lot easier for people to appreciate us and to appreciate our voices. And that's what Julian is talking about. And then the last one is dogmatism. And boy, do we have a lot of that in our business and in the country and the world in general these days. And dogmatism is just basically confusing the idea of what you believe with what is actually true, or an opinion about something versus the fact about something. You know, I can't tell you how many times conversations can go off the rail when you make that confusing assumption. You know, well, I think he's a jerk, so he must be a jerk. I heard he was a jerk. Or I know that microphone is finicky. I've heard that microphone is finicky, so it must be finicky. You know, this whole idea of dogmatism replacing actual truth-telling. You know, as storytellers, one of the things that we'll find out as we continue with this series is that honesty is amazingly powerful. And all of these things that we've been talking about in the last couple of videos, the excuses and the lying and the dogmatism and the negativity from the last one, you know, all of these things can be changed and made better with some basic applications of positivity and positive efforts. And we're actually going to identify in the next video, we're going to stop doing the negative stuff, and we're going to take a look at what Julian has to say about the 4 things that you can do to do better. And the 4 things are all indicators that you're on the right track. So I'm really excited about that. However, I would love to know what you think about these. We've done 7 all told, the 7 deadly sins, according to Julian Treasure. What are your thoughts on these? Do you find yourself kind of slipping into some of these sometimes? Look, we can't help it. Sometimes it happens. And sometimes it goes from being funny about that sort of thing, oh, that sucks, to being really, really negative about it. So I wonder what you think. Give me a comment below. Let me know on voheroes.com. There's a space where you can leave comments. Below that, you can sign up for our mailing list. There's a little box that says, get on the list. And if you fill out that form, you'll get on the list. I'm David H. Lawrence, the 17th. I appreciate you watching, and I will talk to you tomorrow.